My lords, today I bring you a report about an empire who found themselves fighting an alien invasion. This story is a reminder of human tales of old, stories such as War of the Worlds or Independence Day, where a pre-FTL humanity fights off superior alien invaders. Granted, these aliens are slightly further along the technological pathway than the humans in these media portrayals. The aliens, who we shall call the Starlit, found themselves with a mysterious portal looming at the edge of their home system, a gateway from which a hostile entity emerged in relentless waves. These invasions were as unpredictable as they were inevitable, but all hope was not lost. These people had constructed a fantastic technological triumph, the Deep Space Citadel. This bastion would defend them during the war to come. I shall now detail the story of the empire that we have designated as the Starlit. We were not always so vigilant. Our home is a world of abundance, and once we were a peaceful and contented people. But all that changed when the portal appeared. Without warning, the demons arrived. They razed our cities, ravaged our lands, but then, as swiftly as they had come, they vanished. We dared to hope that they would never return, but the invasions did resume, again and again, each attack more brutal than the last. Now, as we prepare to venture into the galaxy, our Skywatchers stand ready. High above our world, the formidable Deep Space Citadel awaits, a steadfast bulwark against the demons and any others who would seek our destruction. Although our Citadel stands as the first line of our defense, true safety will only be won by uncovering the truth about our enemies. With each discovery, we will move closer to the day where we can take our fight to them and end this long siege once and for all. Now that we have established how to use faster than light travel, we hope this period will soon be coming to an end. This afternoon, our Skywatchers have reported an alarming development. There are subtle but unmistakable fluctuations recently detected within the portal. In the past, similar disturbances have heralded waves of hostile biological vessels, and if these readings hold true, we can expect the next assault within a matter of months. The survival of our people may once again depend on the resolve of our defenders and the mighty guns of our bastions. Our Deep Space Citadel hung silently in the darkness, its massive structure bristling with weaponry, sensor arrays scanning the empty void with a cold vigilance. On board, our Skywatchers watch their screens, tense and silent, their hearts hammering with anticipation. The fluctuations in the portal had continued to grow, and it was clear the enemy was almost upon us. Klaxons blared, portal fluctuation detected, incoming contacts, an officer yelled. The portal shimmered before us, breaking like sea in a storm. The portal tore itself apart as massive, grotesque forms emerged, organic vessels pulsing with an eerie red luminescence, jagged and twisted like nightmares given flesh. "Weapons free, all batteries open fire," shouted the commander, his voice sharp and resolute. The Citadel erupted in a storm of firepower, cannons blazing streams of plasma and kinetic projectiles that sliced through space, slamming into the oncoming demon fleet. Explosions blossomed silently, illuminating the darkness in brief fiery eruptions. Thick ooze leaked from great gouges in the enemy ships, yet still they surged forward. A demon harbinger, its hide armoured with thick carapace, unleashed a stream of crimson energy that struck the Citadel's shield. It shook the station violently, and inside the crew members braced against the impact. "Shield integrity down to 70%. We must focus on that ship," yelled a tactical officer. As the demons closed the gap, their smaller craft swarmed like predatory insects, darting swiftly, seeking weakness. Maulers latched onto our defensive platforms, tearing great gouges in their armour before spitting out chunks of metal and moving on to the next. Their fighters buzzed like insects. We did not have enough flak to bring them all down. The Citadel's automated turrets tracked relentlessly, weaving a deadly lattice of firepower that shredded dozens of the smaller attackers in seconds. But yet still, they came on. More and more bioships emerged from the portal, pressing our defences to the limits. Sections of the Citadel's shield flickered ominously as the enemy fire intensified. "Focus fire on their capital ship," the Citadel commander yelled, pointing to the largest enemy vessel, the same Harbinger that shook the station earlier. The Citadel unleashed its Giga Cannon, a colossal kinetic battery, the largest weapon our civilization was capable of producing. Its capacitors charged with a low hum before discharging a round capable of cracking continents. Their capital ship, the Harbinger, shuddered momentarily when hit before it exploded violently, its organic matter venting into space in a grotesque torrent. A cheer rose briefly among the defenders, quickly silenced by the reality unfolding before them. Another wave of demons emerged, angrier and more ferocious. The battle raged fiercely on, but the Starlit would hold their ground, before eventually, just as the waves before, the onslaught halted. They had won. The debris left by the annihilated biological fleet drifted ominously through the system. Though twisted and charred, much of the organic matter remained intact, offering a rare opportunity for study. With careful analysis, we may be able to uncover secrets of the grotesque construction, and perhaps gain some insight into the enigmatic portal from which they emerge. We are making study of these biological ship remains a top priority, in the hope that we may learn much to ensure our survival. Several months of painstaking study of the biological wreckage passed, but our scientists believe that they may have finally found the key to understanding the portal that looms on the edge of our system. Deep within the creature's tissue, an organic pattern had been identified, one that seems to resonate with the portal's fluctuations. By reverse engineering this frequency, we should be able to traverse the enigmatic rift ourselves. Further research will be necessary, but for the first time the possibility of taking the fight to the enemy is within reach. However, in more troubling news, we are witnessing a trend in the biological ship attacks. Each wave displays improved coordination, adaptive tactics, and a methodical probing of our defences. Sensor logs reveal shifts in enemy signatures and targeting priorities, evidence of evolving strategies. These creatures, whether through instinct or collective intelligence, are becoming more formidable. And if this pattern continues, the next wave will be even harder to repel. Despite the fact that we are one step closer to unlocking the portal's mystery, passage is still not available, but we do now have the insight to develop the necessary technology. To bring the fight to the enemy, we will need to traverse this wormhole, and that will be the next significant hurdle for our researchers to overcome. Years have now passed since my last entry, and we have fought off wave after wave of these biological ships. They are still becoming increasingly more potent with time, but we have finally had a breakthrough in wormhole stabilization technology, and because of that, we now have a glimpse of the enemy system. An aggressive fleet of biological vessels and a heavily fortified biological starbase await us on the far side. Caution is of course advised, but we have finally found the cradle of the enemy. To unlock their secrets, we must confront their defences. The battle to take the alien system was as brief as it was brutal. They only had a small vanguard fleet of bioships and a singular large space station, but this was not even remotely close to the bastion the Deep Space Citadel represented. We quickly engaged, swarm, and broke their fleet, destroying them utterly, with no losses to report. However, just before the end, we received a haunting transmission from the system's starbase, one which took several days to translate. It reads, "Lost all control. The ships are reproducing by themselves. Please, whoever you are, save us." Since then, all communication ceased. If this is indeed a victory, our enemy's staging ground offers a strategic opportunity. A new Deep Space Citadel may one day shine in the light of this system, ensuring that such a threat never imperils our civilization again. At last, the siege is lifted. We have purged the demons from the space of this system, but the situation here is very different from what we expected. All that remains of our tormentors is apparently a singular and totally decimated world. This demon homeworld can only be described as an open grave. The planet's dominant species appears to have been completely overrun by a strange and hyper-aggressive form of life. Further investigation has revealed that these were no natural organisms, but rather they were biological machines, seemingly grown rather than built. It is possible that whoever engineered these creatures was overwhelmed by their own creation. Could our enemy have been completely unaware of their actions against us? Were they even aware of our existence? Only one thing is certain: whatever measures they took to contain the plague destroyed them, along with their automated abominations. It would appear that we were not the only, or perhaps even the intended victims of this biological mess. But despite this, the biological machines that plagued our skies are finally defeated. No more shall we be harassed by these demons. The admiral who led the final push into demon space has been promoted into our government's council. They shall now be known as the Warden of the Citadel, tasked with fortifying defences, overseeing military readiness, and ensuring our civilization stands unbroken against any additional threats. An honourable position we hope will assist in remembering where we came from for generations to come. An interesting tale indeed, my lords, and I do wonder quite how these biological ships were grown. What mad genetic research were the faction known as the Demons pursuing? Furthermore, I'd like to discuss in a little more detail the Deep Space Citadel, or DSC for short, as, discovering its plans within these records, our admirals are suggesting that we create a ring of them across our inner colonies. We believe that we will be able to support one of these structures per system initially, and eventually that number will grow to 3 per system, as long as we can afford the upkeep, which, I should say, isn't minor. We can place these bastions more or less anywhere we like within the system, provided it's not too close to a gravity well. Thus, in theory, we could use them to create a defensive ring around a starbase, a planet, or even a hyperlane exit. 3 variants of the DSC exist: Tier 1, 2 and 3. Tier 1 is the smallest and has 9 picket weapons, 3 large weapons and 3 hangar bays. It also has access to 8 armor or shield module slots and 1 auxiliary component slot. This could be used for a shield hardener or a reactor booster. The DSC also has the capacity to output an aura similar to a Titan, but more on that shortly. A Tier 2 DSC also has 9 picket weapon slots, but doubles the large weapon slots and the hangar bays. It also increases its armor and shield modules to a total of 16 and gets an additional auxiliary slot. The final variant, a Tier 3, has all of the above, plus access to a spinal weapon mount, i.e. a focused arc emitter, a tachyon lance or a gigacannon, and it has 24 armor and shield module slots, as well as 3 auxiliary slots. The Tier 3 DSC has the capacity to output 2 auras, and the second aura is upgraded to those that we see on Juggernauts. We can choose from 8 options for the first aura slot, 3 of which are what we would normally put on starbases. They are Disruption Field Generators, which reduces enemy shields, Communication Jammer, which disrupts enemy sublight speed and the ability to jump to FTL, and the Command Center, which increases the effectiveness of our own ships. The other 5 auras are unique to the DSC. They are Antipolaron Emitters, which will reduce enemy energy weapon damage by 25%, Micro-Singularity Destabilizers, these will do the same but for kinetic weapons, Multi-Target Generators do the same for explosives, i.e. missiles and torpedoes, and Cognition Scramblers will cover strikecraft. The final aura that they have access to is Targeting Override. This module will artificially increase the cross-section of the station, forcing enemy weapons to target it instead of nearby friendlies, thus drawing the enemy's firepower onto it. This will make it rather lovely for protecting our ships. Furthermore, remember my lords that we can also build defensive platforms on the DSC, and this is the same number that you could build on a starbase. Thus, if you can build 30 on your Citadel and have 3 DSCs in system, well, that equates to 120 defense platforms, or even more if you have rings, and I'm aware that you can increase defensive platforms to more than 30 per unit. Clearly, we can make bastions the like of which the galaxy hasn't even dreamt of before. I wonder, my lords, what would terminal egress look like? Should we fortify that system? Thanks for watching, folks. If you want to hear more from me, click the video on screen now.